In your life, you've probably had older people or even your parents talk about you, about how precious your life is and your youth, and that this time will never come back. And even though when time has already passed, it always looks better, after. If you have more than two brain cells, you will agree on this, but how do we actually do this? I will give you the artistic steps by step guide on how to achieve fun in your youth and in your entire life. This is probably like a universal timeline of how you will kind of experience your fun. When you're a toddler, and let's say to about ages of maybe 14 years, you're just living day by day, you come home from school, you watch the Nickelodeon, SpongeBob, life is great. That you don't have to worry, you're already having so much fun. Then when you get to about middle school or high school, that's when it starts to the first shift, of course. Now you've got some responsibilities, but your parents still, they take care of you, do the most things, and this is the time when they will tell you, you will never get this time back. And you know they're right, because frankly, you won't. And once you're about 18 or let's say 20, then you will really understand what they've said. And maybe it's too late, maybe it's not. But I think you should always enjoy your life, and there are actually steps on how you should do this. And I will give them to you, but want to first talk to you about my story. In the Netherlands, we have kind of system on school where you have like the highest and then the middle, and then you have like levels to school basically. I've always had like the highest, or not always, but I finished my highest level, and it wasn't always as easy. I spent a lot of time learning, studying, and once I was in that position, I always thought like, fuck, I wish I was just done. I didn't have to study like 10 plus hours, 8 plus hours. But after looking back on it, the grind is probably my most precious time, and I wish I could get it back. Because after I got my diploma, it's only a few months ago, but my purpose, I didn't have no purpose anymore, because I was spending 8 plus hours per day on this. Once it dropped, I didn't have no more to spend my time on, so I started to like the bad habits, scrolling, eating shit food, because I didn't have anything to do. Of course, I still trained, but yeah, something just disappeared. And this is why you should always enjoy your youth and enjoy your time while you still have it. And for me, it was a big thing actually. I remember vividly. 1 week before the exams would start, I would literally look. We have kind of a staircase where you can look down at the exam hall, right? And I would stand there and I would look 1 week, and I would just think about how I would visualize it, how I would crush every exam, how I would get straight A's, and how I would eventually pass, even though my grades weren't that good, because I spent most of my time just playing sports or just having fun in general. And yeah, it was like once a fighter get in the ring and he starts to shadow box before the fight and shit. That's how I felt, just standing above there and just looking down. It was, yeah, it's still beautiful. I'm grateful I passed, but yeah, the 8 plus hour days, the grind, I wish I could just get it back. So, and even then when I was in it, I also knew it, right? I knew I should enjoy this time, but how do you enjoy this time? I didn't even know it, but yeah, I did enjoy it eventually, but then it was already too late. So, and this is with everything in life. Also, that's just one example in, let's say, high school, but you can even apply this when you're even way younger than that. And that's just one example of the exam itself. We haven't even talked about all the people that you're gonna miss, even the kind of, like you have people, them, but they're not really your friends. Even the random people, you think they're random and they think you're random, you will miss them. Or even the workers, the teachers, you will miss all of them. So you should really enjoy your life. And yeah, in this video I will talk to you about how to do that and what to do if your routine and your purpose kind of disappear, as it did for me, and what did I change on instead or focus on instead. So for example, once school started, I had 8 or even 8 plus hours more in my day I could spend on something, but I didn't know what to spend it on. So I was doing like stupid shit as I've already said. But you need to find something to put all of your energy in, otherwise you will kind of just, wander, and you will just be a feather in the wind. So choose something you're passionate about. Maybe it could be traveling, it could be taking a gap year to learn your skills, learning languages, starting a YouTube channel just for fun. Or it could be, going on with your studies. Maybe you want to become a medical student, to eventually become a doctor, but you have to have something to focus on. If you don't have this, you will literally just be a feather in the wind. So that's my first tip to you is, after your purpose has disappeared, find a new one immediately. You can't be wandering for too long, And my second tip is to really enjoy life. You should never be in a rush. In every struggle, even if you have like the worst possible situation in your life, you really want to get out of it, you should really try and enjoy even that moment, because you will never get it back. And I always think about it like this. Imagine you were 70 years old, right? You would have paid tens and millions and millions and millions, even billions of dollars to just be your age and where you're at right now again. So just think about this, that imagine you were 70, you would pay so much money just to be just in your situation that you are right now. So never be in a rush, I've watched this video of Hamza. He's like a self-improvement content creator also, and he recently, he published a video about the shortness of life. I really think you should watch that video. It's only 3 minutes long, and it really put things into perspective. I will give you the story right here, but it was basically about, a boy, let's say he's about 12 years old, it doesn't really matter, but once he came home he was in the lecture of school, and he thought like, damn, I wish I could skip this and just play my videos home. And he was given a remote actually, and he used it, because he didn't want to spend his time in that classroom. So okay, he zapped, he got home, and then his mother told him to do this chore, maybe get the garbage out, or I don't know, make dinner or some shit like that. And then he thought like, fuck, I wish I could skip this, So he zapped again, he skipped it, he did the chore, and then he was finally on his video game. And then he was like in the loading room, he was playing some Fortnite or some Call of Duty, with his boys. He had the headset on, he was loading in the screen. He was like, damn, I wish I could skip this also. So he zapped again, and then it was time to sleep, and he was like, I don't really feel like sleeping. So he skipped that also. And eventually down the line, in about a few days, he's already like 50 years old or 60 years old, and he's gray, and he's thinking, damn, where did all of my time go? And that's basically, if you want to skip your life and you don't enjoy the life right now, that's what you're gonna experience. Let's say you found your new purpose and what you want to focus on. How do we actually spend 8+ hours a day focusing on that? Here's where the most fun method comes in. The TMF method, I call it. And it's basically that the thing that you're trying to improve the most, that should be the most fun thing of your day. That way you won't randomly spike your dopamine and crave other things than just work. Imagine you want to study because you want to pass and you want to have high grades, right? Let's say you have other things to do, like you want to maybe play video games, or you can maybe play some sports, and that's also great because you need to find a balance. But imagine you could only just study or literally just look at your wall. What are you gonna do? Of course you're gonna study. So you should minimize your options. People always try to add more things. What can I add? Which technique can I add? The Pomodoro technique, or this or that technique. And believe me, from my own experience, adding has never helped me. You should always strip away more, so that the learning or what you're trying to achieve becomes the most fun thing of your day. And that's also the mission of life, is to enjoy it. That's the sole mission of life. You don't have to get into this spiritual world or anything, spirituality, to waste your time. Life is meant to be enjoyed, guys. Don't overthink it. That's just basically it. And that's why you should never be in a rush. If you have been outside, just look at the tree, enjoy the bird, you should really try to love life. And of course, when you're working, go out, work, play that sport, you know, go conquer, but in your off time you should really try to enjoy even the little things, in my opinion. If you've enjoyed this video or you've gotten something from it, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.